I have made this commitment to myself, and I'm going to keep it for myself
Mm-hmm.
because I am important to myself.
Woo, we're back. We're here.
Woo!
It's been a minute, but we are back. Had a little Christmas break and
Yeah, we're
Happy
busy.
New Year. We're in 2024.
Happy 2024,
Woo
everyone.
woo! Did you realize that 2023 ended on 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3?
Almost said, I was like, yes. Yes, I did. But because my BF, Stephanie, I call her Tep, she told me about it and then she posted about it.
That's how you knew?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So,
She cute.
any big plans for this next year?
I don't know. I think people usually they do like, what's your
Yeah,
resolution? New
people
Year's
usually do
resolution.
resolutions.
And the last like several years we've done like words or we've done
Yeah, but also I think just getting away from resolution is very, oh, I'm going to be a nicer person this year, or oh, I'm going to lose weight this year. And then something inevitably happens by January 2nd, and then you're off the train,
yeah.
right? So
I'm not a huge like resolution person
I'm not a
anymore.
huge resolution person either, but with some of the things that have happened lately, I think miniature goals that are achievable by a certain point is better than a resolution, because then that gives you a specific thing to work towards
Yeah.
versus this nebulous, like, oh, I'm going to be a better person.
Sure.
Well, like, how are you going to be a better person and then make that like a 3 month goal or something?
Sure. I saw this one person they were talking about like this giant calendar. We have a year calendar, like a year at a glance, and oh, we need to flip that. And we need to I want to sit down and like write all the stuff out that we have planned so
Mm-hmm.
you can see the year and you get to actually visually see how much time you're using and how much time you could be wasting or because it's so hard to be like, oh, well, it's a whole year, but really it's 52 weeks. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, like that's,
Or I'll get to that next month. Well,
yeah,
that was
that's
3 months
quick.
ago.
Yeah. And so just like visually seeing that, so that's really nice. But there's this another like big calendar that's popular and someone was talking about like I don't know what it is. I don't know the word. It's like Migos or something like that. And it's supposed to be like your one like big thing for the year. So like this girl was saying it's like your one
Like
big
your
thing. It's like
yearly
she
goal.
wanted yeah, kind of. It's like something attainable. So she was like, I want to do a Tough Mudder. And so it's like somewhere in August or something. And
Right.
she's like, I've always wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody ever wanted to do it with me. And I'm kind of shy. And so she's like, and this year, like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm going to do it. I put it on the calendar. I like purchased the admission
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just going to do it. Like, that's going to be my one like big thing that I do. And I was like, yeah, I like that too.
So you're looking for a word that just says, I'm just going to do this thing?
No,
Or there's
so
another word for like a planner?
no, that was just like the word that you use to describe like your one big thing. It was like an actual word,
Oh,
I think in a different language. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool too. But like something that we could put on our calendar. But I for like I don't know, maybe like the last 5 years, it's always been like a word, something that's like, okay, the word this year is gonna be positivity, or this year it's gonna
hmm
be progress. Like 2 years ago, mine was progress.
Mm-hmm.
But this last year, um, it wasn't a word. It was just start to learn more about my body specifically, and don't worry about weight gain or weight loss. Worry about learning what's best for your body,
Right.
and hopefully don't end the year higher than you were. Like
Right.
that was it. Which was great because we did.
I think we could sum it up in the word plunge.
Yeah, we took
Because
the
we
plunge.
did plunge every week for a year.
We did. Yesterday was our 1 year, or the first was our 1 year plunge anniversary.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Every week.
It's the first year that I can remember where I haven't been sick. Not even like a cold. Like,
And it's like it's been like the one real easy thing to be disciplined about all year long
yeah.
for the most part.
And there have been times where it's like, oh, we really don't want to go. And I'm like, right. But like, I need to go because I need to know that I can keep myself to something.
Right.
That I have made this commitment to myself and I'm going to keep it for myself because I am important to myself. Like, and so just like, I guess, realizing that I need to make myself important as well, that it's, and like, don't let yourself down. You need to go for you. Maybe like, yes, physically, but also very much mentally. You need to be able to say like, I showed up for me.
Right. Well, and both of us are very much all or nothing type people. Either we're doing it 100,000% or we're not
100,000%.
or we're not doing it at all, right? It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to limit carbs. Well, for me, it's either no carbs or all the carbs. Like, it's very easy for me just to go swing one way or the other.
I think
Where,
it's just an easier like thing to hold on to. Like it's easier just to be like, nope, it's done. There's none. There's
right. But, I mean, it's that way with everything.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to stick with that all year long. And then towards the end of the year, I think it made it easier to commit to intermittent fasting because we were already doing the one thing. So, and that's helped. Now, it's time to start introducing regular physical activity. And, it's a lot like one of the things is like, because we only plunge once a week and it's only 11 minutes, you're showing up for that 11 minutes, right? And that was one thing that this one trainer was talking about on another podcast that I had listened to, is that don't worry about doing an hour at the gym every day. Don't worry about getting the full, just show up. Just walk through the door
Yeah.
and do a thing.
Yeah.
And then that one thing will turn into possibly two things in a couple weeks or something. But you're just practicing the habit of showing up.
Yeah.
So luckily
Is that your thing?
we have had the ability to turn one of the rooms into like a little half-Z workout area. So I'm gonna just start showing up a few times a week
Yeah.
to part of my house.
Yeah. It's just
And
the showing up for yourself.
right.
Is that your thing for this year then? Is just show up for yourself physically? Just walk through that door.
I think part of it, but the main thing is for me, that's a little goal of showing up for myself for the year. Big major goal though is to help people grow,
Yeah.
because we got some big exciting things happening this year, and just continuing to help people grow, which is going to help me grow, which is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that's my big thing is my little thing that's going to be achievable, little goal,
Mm-hmm.
is to just show up for myself every week
Mm-hmm.
in the physical activity realm. And then my major goal for the year is to see at least one person grow,
Nice.
whether it be myself or somebody that I can help grow.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
nice. This year, I want to learn more about like my body and what actually, like about like PCOS and the endocrine disorder that I have, and like actually learning about like what things to feed it, what things are beneficial and anti-inflammatory for my body, which things are going to feed it the nutrients that it needs to help it to best use what I'm giving it. And so I think with one of those things, I am going to find a doctor. I would like to find a naturopath.
Say what?
I know.
Somebody check in with hell. Did it freeze over?
It did. I really, really, really don't like doctors. Anytime I go for anything, like I will hurt my wrist or I will, like it could be anything. And they're like, oh, well, it's because you're overweight. And I'm like, I don't think it is. I think it has to do a lot with the fact that I fell. They're like, well, if you weren't, I'm like, okay. Nope, that's just because apparently I'm klutzy.
You? No way.
Anyway, but I'm gonna find a doctor. I would like to find a naturopath or functional medicine doctor or something. And
Yeah,
get some tests
preferably
done.
not just something that's going to throw pharmaceuticals at it.
Right, because I'm not against pharmaceuticals.
that's
I just
not
don't
what
want
I'm
that to
looking
be the first thing.
Right.
I would like to see if like nature can help first.
Right.
And then if nature plus needs to come in, then I get that.
Right.
But
Cause
I do believe that a lot of things that that a lot of things can be taken care of with like food as medicine. And you know, that God gave us a lot of really good things on the earth
Right.
to help take care of us. If you know how to use it, if you know how to look for it, if you know like, and so there's a lot that I already do, the amount of like supplements and stuff, but I would like to take a few tests to find out like if I have the MTHFR, the methyl something something gene where you don't your body doesn't, I don't know, maybe it doesn't like use it or it doesn't, I don't know. Some like folic acid, methylfolate
Okay.
stuff. I don't know. So see, that's why we're researching this here. I've seen some things and I'm like, you know what? I need to like, I think I've done the normal things that society says so many times. I have exercised and gained weight. I have,
Well, and I mean, in finding out all of this stuff too, is like, we have to really, because not everything is just cut and dry science. There's also the fact that, like, when you eat a lot of protein, you get nauseous. And
or if I eat a lot of fat, like, well, not even a lot of fat. Like, if it's like, there's just a lot of things. Like, when I was in high school, I did like, I don't know, I have been dieting for a very long time. And I remember doing like the Atkins thing, and I would be fine for a few days, and then a couple weeks in or the end of the week, I would just eventually not be eating because it was just so much like fat and protein, and I was just like, And eventually I just started losing weight because I wasn't eating, because everything was making me nauseous. So there are things like that where it's like, okay, maybe I need to find the proper proteins, or maybe I need to
Right.
find like, something. So I would like to, but that's my thing. Like, I want to research. I've done a lot of things. Like, I drink hibiscus tea every day because it helps to remove fluid, which is good for my heart, because PCOS like affects your heart health. I take lots of vitamins, but I really want to do more research and find out for my body, like, what's going on. Do I need, rather than like supplementing with vitamins, which is fine, like I'm totally willing to do that, but is there something that I could be eating? Like, if sweet potatoes have the vitamin E that I need and the proper starches that I need and are like good for balancing cortisol or something. Okay, well then I can eat a sweet potato a day. Learning that if you take a carbohydrate and you cool it down, that becomes more insulin resistant. Like, knowing that even if you heat it back up, just knowing that happens and that it reduces your glucose spike. Like, knowing those things, it's like, oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, so when we have leftover potatoes, I'm not going to feel bad about having a little bit of leftover potatoes, but it is knowing, like, okay, well, if I'm going to have pasta tomorrow, maybe I should make it today,
Right.
so that it cooks and is done, and then I can reuse that pasta.
Did you ever
The
find
next
out
day.
like what it does to the chemical structure that makes it that way? Or no?
Yes, at one point I did know. It has something to do with like the starches. Like
Right.
the starches.
Change in structure so they don't get absorbed as easily. Is that
Yeah.
kind of what's going on?
Yeah, essentially. Anyway, so my goal this year is just to learn more about my body and how to help it. I do know that one of the things that I need to do, I want to start walking more.
Yeah.
And I know that high in like intensive energy, like
The
intensive,
hit training or
yeah,
whatever it is.
where you're like the cardio stuff where your heart is like racing a lot, is not good for my cortisol level, and it will continue to raise it. So I have to do movements that are very, like, that are slow and specific, that don't necessarily raise my heart rate, but are building muscle, that are like
Right.
heavy, that are heavy lifting, or weight bearing, and then slower motions. You can do like those fast motions that people do. You just have to do them slower and with more like intention to make sure that like everything is correct, because then it helps your body to move, but it doesn't cause a cortisol spike. Because if you're living in fight or flight all the time with your body, then making your heart race says like, oh, we're like we're in fight or flight still. Like it.
That's my problem. Constantly fighting my body.
I'm in a war. Anyway, so that's my thing. I just want to learn more about my body specifically,
Yeah.
and see how to support her and how to make her happy. And I know that PCOS is something I'm going to have for the rest of my life. It's an endocrine disorder, but I would like for the rest of my life to be longer than like 45.
45 more years?
45 more years. I don't know that I want to be 96. Well,
What?
I love you. If I am of
What?
right mind and I'm not wearing a diaper, I'm
That
in.
would be 86, honey, not 96.
Okay,
We're not
86.
50s.
No, you're right. 86. Ooh. We'll see.
I mean, that's where your
I don't know.
grandparents made it. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be 86. But if I'm of like right mind and
able-bodied and
Yes.
sharp, and
yes, then yeah. Then yeah, of course.
of course, why not?
I will live as long as I'm allowed to tell as many people as I can about the freedom that comes through Christ.
Yep.
And my goal is just to live there a little bit longer.
You will live as long as you're allowed, no matter what.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I just want to do my part to make that longer.
Just want to do the thing.
Do my part to make that longer.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Nice.
What about you guys? Any resolutions, words,
Goals.
intentions, whatever people,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. Like, what's your, I guess, what's the plan? What's your plan for the year?
Oh, I do
Any
want
big
to
trips
read.
planned? Those
I
kinds of
do
things.
want to read a book this year.
Oh, a book?
Yeah. Well, one specifically.
Oh,
Just because I've heard a lot about it and I want to read it.
Mm-hmm.
And by read it, I mean listen to it.
okay.
And that's Jordan Peterson's book. The title is escaping me right now, but I think it's like 12 Rules or something like that.
Oh, I think he has like a marriage thing too.
Oh, he has tons of stuff, and he's doing a really cool like round table talk about through the Old Testament. Right now, with like Dennis Prager and some other guys. So, but yeah,
Let's see what his book title is called.
I don't know.
Hey, he's Canadian.
Yeah, he is Canadian, which is why they're trying to do all the things in Canada.
Don't even know.
Yeah.
12 Rules for Life.
Yeah, that one. So I got it mostly. But that one I would like to listen to.
Yeah.
But
You want me to tell you the 12 rules? Oh, where did it go?
no, not necessarily.
Like, I will tell you the rules.
It will feel very pointed at and maybe called out a little bit.
You will feel that way?
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Well, number 12, pet a cat when you encounter one in the street.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Which is exactly the opposite of what the lady who did our vaccinations for Thailand said. She was
Right.
like, if it's a street animal, don't touch it. They have diseases potentially that we don't.
I'm sure that's
But
a
we-
rule,
we
but
have
there's
to
a
worry about.
like that may be a metaphor for something. Maybe it's not an exact thing there.
Don't bother children while skateboarding, while they are skateboarding.
Yeah, so I'm sure,
That makes sense, though. You don't want them to fall.
or maybe you do. Maybe you want to get a chuckle.
No. Yeah.
But so that's
Stand up straight with your shoulders back.
yeah. So that's a book I want to definitely
Yeah.
get in my noggin.
Number 5, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them.
Huh. But I know some people that have struggles with that,
That's funny.
about not letting their kids do things to make them dislike them.
I think that is very difficult
It'll be
for
very-
children and parents.
yeah.
Yeah. I was watching this thing and it was talking about how we always talk about like in the Midwest it's a lot of like come to our house for meals and
Yeah.
instead of going out. And it was talking about like when did it change from a certain kind, I don't even remember the words. I'm sorry.
Good.
It was like essentially like planned hangout versus like spontaneous hangout. And how it's exhausting to always be in the kind of life where you have to plan your hangouts,
Yeah, it is super exhausting.
instead of just like living life.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it's like, I don't know that I want people necessarily just to stop by all the time.
No, not necessarily just stop by, but it's like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, oh, well, why don't we invite these people over? Yeah, but we haven't planned it, so they're probably busy, or,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, it had to have been a thing that I thought about 3 weeks ago in order to get it on the calendar, in order for it to even
Right.
remotely be a possibility.
Right.
And to me, that's exhausting and annoying.
Yeah. And I remember when we were kids, it was like, oh, we want to play with somebody, let's just go play with them. But you
Right.
had to plan for like sleepovers and stuff like that.
Right. But like hanging out for a little bit wasn't like a huge thing. And I understand people have lives and they have jobs and stuff, but sometimes it's just hard to like pick up a phone and say, "Hey, come over." Because you also have people that we know that don't do well with that.
Yeah.
With just the random like, "Hey, just come on over."
Yeah.
So, it makes it a little rough.
Yeah, that was one of the things that he was talking about was that in other countries and in other like communities in the United States, they have where it's like you have within 15 minutes you have a place of business, you have like some business, you have schools, you have restaurants, bars, cafes, a park, a grocery store, and it's all within like a 15-minute walk. And you pick up your kids from school, and then you go to the park and they play at the park, and they hang out with like kids, whoever's there, they just play. And then if you are an introvert, you can just sit on the edge and read a book, or you can work on your laptop, and then if you see someone like, oh, I've been meaning to see them, then you can choose to. So it's not necessarily like the spontaneous aspect of it isn't
That's just you
necessarily
being out in society.
yeah, right. But the city was built that way. And so you have this community that's built kind of like this, and then you just copy paste it. As the city gets bigger, as people as more people move in, you like build more and more. And so it's integrated. It takes up a certain amount of space, but you just build another community. You build another community. And so people still like live and yes, there are people that like drive further away and stuff like that. But for the most part, like you live in the community where your school kids are and
Right.
where your restaurants and your cafes, and there's cafes along the edge of the park, and the kids are playing and you're eating, and it's just a smaller community, and each community is different, and they have different like vibes to them. But then so like in Barcelona, that's how it is. And he was saying now in, let's say, Nashville, which has Barcelona and Nashville, I guess, have like the same amount of people approximately, but the land mass needed for those amount of people is significantly higher, because in Nashville it's like, here's where you live, here's where you eat, here's where you work, here's where you school, here's where. And so yes, there are places where those things are mixed, but it's predominantly 15 minutes by car rather than 15 minutes walking. And so you are enclosed in glass and metal for that 15 minutes, rather than passing by your neighbors and seeing people eye to eye and
Right.
just interacting with people on a daily basis and getting those small like conversations, and those probably like,
Right.
hi, Mrs. Clark, hi, like those daily things. And so, but instead of building, like taking this thing and just doing like, here's a community, it's you have to build it out in circles, or it's like you build it out because more people are coming in, you need more space. And so the city builds, and it becomes like, oh, the suburbs, and then it becomes
Right.
but then the suburbs become more of the center because you got more people, and so you keep going further. Anyway, And so the same amount of people approximately are in Barcelona and in Nashville, the but community is completely different. The like level of like loneliness that people
Hmm.
that they talk about.
Well, I've got a couple of thoughts.
Okay.
So, one might be the way that people choose to live. Two very different countries, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And here it's all about the big house and having yards and all that stuff. So that
Right.
makes everything have to be bigger,
That's true.
right?
That's
For the
true.
same amount of people.
Yeah.
Two, from what I understand, and the other places that I've been is they're a market based society in
Mm-hmm.
the where you go to the little market that's just down the way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And you
And you
buy
have
food for
all
like the day or two.
right, and you have all those things right there, so
Mm-hmm.
you're out in the community doing that thing, whereas the US is very much supermarket driven,
Yes.
and you have a market maybe once a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you can go in and buy things. So I think maybe some of that has to do with previous zoning laws and where oh, well, business has to be in this area and housing has to be in
So it
this area.
changed in the 70s.
Well,
So it used to be, so he was saying that it used to be that smaller communities would do that. And and people were doing it beforehand, like separating different areas.
mhm,
Um, and it definitely is different when you have like big farming communities and people are living way out, and then there's like in town and you're living out
mhm,
of town. So like that definitely has something to do with it. But in the 70s it changed that essentially this is how cities are supposed to look.
right.
And this is like, yes, all like the different zoning laws and stuff. And so that's when it was like put into stone, like this is the way that
What do you,
this
so
goes.
which way it goes?
The current way for America.
All right. So
Yeah.
where you have like all your industrial in one spot, your
Mm-hmm.
commercial in another spot,
Mm-hmm.
which don't get me wrong, I think industrial, especially factories and stuff, should be like in their place.
Yeah, because they're not cute
Well,
and they're
and
stinky.
there's other stuff like lots of traffic for semis and
Mm-hmm.
all that other
Yeah, that
stuff.
all makes sense.
And I mean, for the most part, I mean, we've been an industrious nation when it comes to manufacturing.
Right.
So with a lot of people working at the factory and then driving to
Mm-hmm.
the suburbs to their house or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever, it leads to that sprawling out. But
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of sad that instead of there being markets and stuff in those little communities in the suburbs, it's just been, well, you go to the supermarket and stuff like that, which
Mm-hmm. I mean, I
it makes it
understand.
harder to keep that community thing. And I understand. I definitely want to
Mm-hmm.
go one place and get everything and just go home,
Right,
right?
right, right. Yeah.
And not have to do it every day, just
Yeah.
because life is busy, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it is 10 minutes down the road. It's not just like right down the hill or something.
Right.
So I think just in the fact that because like Barcelona is such an old society,
Mm.
an old community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have, they kind of did the urban sprawl way back when before it was a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they still have all of those things where it's intermixed, where you can have everything super close and have
Mm-hmm.
it multiple places. Whereas here they designed it differently,
I think they
which
do
makes it harder.
a bit more of
But
that Barcelona style in like big cities like New York. They've got like their different boroughs. They've got their different where they have their
right,
small grocery stores and they
but
have all the little like
that's all influenced off of European society building because that was one of the first major cities,
that. Yeah, that's probably.
you know.
That makes
Um,
sense.
and you know, they're actually trying to revert maybe a little bit the other way. We have a friend that is buying a house in a community in South Carolina where, yes, it's a housing development, but they're trying within that whole little area to do the shopping centers and the bars and the eateries. And so you don't ever have to leave that community. And everything is at least accessible by golf cart.
Yeah.
And they have little golf cart trails and
Yeah.
stuff like that, which is cool.
Well, there's one at Point Ruston
Yes,
where
there
they
is
like there was a big plot of land. It was a foundry, and we had to wait so many years before the land could be like deemed clear enough, and so now there's like a big park, and there's hotels, and they have
condos and
there's condos on the water, and they
assisted
have
living for old people and
doctors' offices and
eateries and a cinema and all that
little
fun jazz.
like Saturday markets, and and
Which-
it's super cute.
It is super cute, highly expensive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
because it's on the water. I mean, it is more of that thing that you want where you have the little markets and stuff. But that little market's only once a week, right?
No, there's stuff that's all the time.
There is
It's
stuff
just like
that's
the
all
outside
the time,
stuff
but like
that's
the major market part.
like the outside, like the what is it called?
Outdoor?
Outdoor market is farmers market.
Farmers market. There you go.
Yeah, the farmers market is once a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you get all of the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the people that just pay for their little stall in the one little area. But I mean, there's areas that are trying to do it. Unfortunately, the barrier to entry into some of those places is quite high.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you're like us and you're driving 30 minutes to get there to get that little slice of what.
To spend a day there,
Right.
and where you just stay in that area.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, but even in that, I mean, they have like a spray park, and so families will go and the kids will play, and the parents will just sit on the rocks, the big rocks next to it, and just watch them play.
Right.
And that's really nice.
Doesn't really work for right now when it's
cold.
30 degrees outside.
Yeah. Anyway, the reason I talk about it is because I also heard this one thing that was talking about how we lost our third place. It was like home, work, and then your third place.
Like a hangout spot.
Yeah. And so,
So
a
like
lot of
pub or
places
something?
that it used to be like you had a third place. It was just somewhere else to go hang out with friends and be done with the day and
Right.
relax and all of that, because we don't really do that so much in our homes anymore.
No.
But
And to have that third place nowadays, man, you better take out a third mortgage.
right, well, and that's the thing, like,
It's
so
so
part of
expensive.
it was like when COVID hit, everybody lost their third place. Sometimes even people lost their second place, and so they're stuck at home, and so they didn't have like that. And so right now I think we're still fighting we're like still recovering from that. And so because we lost that third place, and for a lot of people their second place, it made us so much more of an inside our own home community, where it's some people, yes, are afraid to be outside their home, but are more concerned because of like germs and whatnot.
I
But
just think it's more that we've been conditioned to just be away from everybody.
yes, but that's the other thing, is that you're just used to being home now. And so it made me think about when we were in the Midwest. It wasn't, hey, let's go out for dinner. It wasn't so much like, it wasn't a restaurant that was the third place. It was someone else's house that was the third place.
Right.
So like
Or it
our
could have been-
friends would come to our house. We
Right.
would go to their house. Like we had a third place, but it was,
It just bounced between houses.
yeah. Yeah. And so anyway, so I was thinking, between all of those things, like you can't look at Barcelona and be like, oh, well, that's
You can't just copy paste here.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily where you can do that in communities, but when people say like, "Oh, well, it works in this country or it works in that country," and I'm like, "Yeah, but they're the size of Seattle."
Right. And they've had
Like that's
centuries of it working.
right.
Well, not necessarily working, but of community built
Yeah,
to have it like that.
right. So it's like, yeah, I mean that's great, but also they're the size of one of our big cities.
Mm-hmm.
I think people forget that the United States covers like almost all of Europe.
Well, just it's where our size is so massive and we're such a geographical diversity within our nation
It's a lot like
that
different countries with
right.
different language, different accents, different food,
Mm-hmm.
different like music, different
Right.
like there's just so much from Washington to Florida,
Oh
just
yeah.
like tip to tip. There's just so much difference that happens between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Just the lifestyle changes between like pine and trees and cold water to beaches and sun and warm water. Like there's
Right.
just a very different,
Vibe.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a very different culture.
Definitely no Florida man up here.
No, it's too cold for that. So it's very, I don't know. I just think I think, holy crap,
Mm-hmm.
the United States is big. And the other part is like we got to figure out a way to hang out with people without it being like such a big deal. But I don't know how to not make it such a big deal to be like, hey, just come on over. Hey, just come on over. But like it's
Right.
still something that you're planning for.
Right. Well, and I'm going to say we hang out a lot with family, but even that, it's kind of an ordeal because they're 20 minutes away at least.
Yeah.
Some of the family's 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
So it's still an undertaking, and it takes at least half your day to come over for an hour.
Yeah.
You know,
Over for an hour.
well, but you know what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
20 minutes here.
Mm-hmm.
You hang out for an hour ish, right? And you guys in your Midwest goodbyes, even though you didn't grow up in the Midwest.
No, but
And
my parents did.
yes,
Well, Midwest and South.
and then 20 minutes home. Well, that's essentially, let's call it 3 hours of your day, and then you
Yeah,
don't
we
have
never just hang out for an hour.
right.
But yes, it does add an hour to the time
Mm-hmm.
because it's a half hour here, a half hour back
Right.
for any of us.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it is a thing, right?
Yeah. So it makes me want more I guess that small community, but with my family. I mean, and other people, but to have like a big piece of land where everyone is together.
Mm-hmm.
And so like our third place is
The meeting barn.
the meeting barn, the hangout, the campfire, the
But I think even at that, we're gonna have to be pretty intentional to get it as a habit in the beginning.
right, to instead of hang out at your house, to go outside
Mm-hmm.
so that if other people come outside,
You're already
you're
there,
already there.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And I'm sure like there's other people that are just more like that anyway, and it just comes more natural to them. But I don't know, it's not for us. So
It makes me like think about in the future. One day I want to have a B&B style thing, whether it be in our home or if it's small like tiny houses or something.
that
And then but like purpose to have like okay, well, like the plan is We're going to have a bonfire
Mm-hmm.
on Friday nights. We're going to, just to have these planned things where people get together who aren't normally together,
Right.
who can be together and hang out and learn about each other, and if they
Right.
want to.
Actually
But
have conversation.
to plan a third place
Right.
for while people are on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
to make it more of a sense of community instead of, I mean, yes, getting away, but also like, oh, okay.
Well, and that's like the thing. Like, it's so easy to have a third place on vacation because you don't have the job, or you don't have this responsibility or that responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, your whole vacation ends up being the third place. I
Right.
can't tell you how many times we've met people and hung out with people and stuff like that on vacation.
Right.
It's just so much easier.
It is. It is. Well, you've got nothing else to do,
Right.
So, yeah, I love hanging out with people on vacation. My dad is really, really good
Yeah, he is.
at that. He went to Turkey with one of his workers and met their family, and
Well, one time
like,
he got
really
stuck
just-
in London.
Yeah.
And went to church and met a family, went to their house for Christmas dinner and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
one of the reasons why we do family Christmas the Saturday after Thanksgiving is because my dad got stuck in London because of snow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's just really good at being like, "Hi, how are you? Where are you from?
Yeah.
What, tell me about yourself. What are your favorite things? What do you, and he just meets someone and he's like, I went to family dinner with them. I was like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, I got a really good friend that now lives in California. He was in Turkey. I went to see his family. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I'm friends on Facebook with this guy's family that I have never met because my dad is now their family.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
Yeah, he's super good at making friends.
Uh-huh.
Or acquaintances, or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was, I don't know, I think it's fun. We did that while we were.
But he's also one that very much would rather be at home.
Right.
Like,
Right.
he would much rather be at home, away, quiet, by himself. But he's super good at making friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. Anyway, one day I would like to create community, and hopefully our new church can be kind of a
third place for some
third
people.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
That our house is a place where people can come and hang out and eat and.
Well, we're gonna try to make it that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the goal. Is we're gonna have some talk and we're gonna have some foods and
Yeah.
see what happens from there.
Yeah, that was really important to me. There was a little church when I went to school in Texas that was down the street, like right around the corner. It was a little white church, and every day after church, they had a potluck.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is nice. Like, this is nice for college students to just, come in and eat not school food and hang out with people and really like get to connect with the community that's
Right.
around, rather than just coming in and being like, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
time to go back to school. Yeah, so I was like, when we start our church, I want it to be like that. I want there to be food, and I want people to feel welcome to stay, and
Right.
I want it to be a potluck every
Yeah.
week.
We wanna get to
Feed
know
both
people
ways.
and
Yeah.
not just hey, how are you? But actually know people
Yeah.
and help them out with their lives.
Yeah. Have them help us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Grow together.
For sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. If you're in the Lakewood area on Sundays at 4, our house is open. So
Yes, it is.
starting this Sunday, so Yeah.
But hey, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
If you liked what you heard, put a comment down there, hit the like button. That'd be nice. Maybe subscribe or not. Come here for free. That's okay. Hopefully you had a giggle. Hopefully you got some
Yeah.
thoughts going in your brain box and
Yeah. Or tell us more stuff, because
yeah.
eventually we're gonna have a B&B, and if you've got ideas, I have ears.
All right. Bye.
Bye.